Don't need the legs. Don't need the legs.
Don't you? You know, I'm doing a desktop right now.
Oh my gosh!
We are so stupid.
I just wanted to talk to you, Nico. I miss you. Hi.
I know. How are you? I haven't seen you in forever.
I know. Before this whole like stay-at-home kind of thing, this element of life.
Before 2020 just decided to, just on everybody.
Oh, just don't mind me. Like, I'm new at all this powder and makeup thing. I hear it's a thing we're supposed to do. Look at this!
I can't believe we're beating your mug just now as we're recording.
We literally just also, I gave back all the lighting, the wardrobe. We wrap for connecting. And so I thought like, I've had all these great setups and cameras and lights for like all like the get out the vote stuff right now.
Oh my
gosh. They took it away and I'm like, I have to do it with my own stuff again. Oh, Nico, it's hard. Life is really hard.
I was expecting you to come correct and have like all this fancy lighting, because expecting that you would still have the connecting paraphernalia, but oh, well, she put on a jacket. Okay.
I did. This is one of the last things I wore out in public.
I'm wearing this because it's one of the few things that fit. So,
to be fair though, I am still wearing the man Spanx that they gave me.
Oh, good for you. It's my actual living room setup. So
I love it. This is also our like dining room kitchen, but they art directed it. They were like, oh, let's have Ruth, rest in peace, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, right over your head at all times. So she's just like my little like, thank you, Ruth. What would Ruth do?
Thank you.
She would protect us all.
I mean, she would. She's probably turning over her grave right now with everything that's happening.
So, talk to me, like, how are you feeling it in this life, in this moment right now? Are you feeling good? Are you worried about
I'm feeling good. I mean, like everybody, I think everybody's quarantine and pandemic has been sort of difficult and challenging, and we're all sort of, adapting to the new normal. And I'm grateful to be back at work. It's nice to be working.
How many episodes are you guys on right now? Where are you at in the shooting schedule?
We are at 6:0. We just shot 6:04. Yeah, so we've done 6:04. So we're just going to be trucking along.
Without a doubt, there's so much gratitude I feel for all of us right now, where we're just like happy. I think of like our stage. You and I both come from stage stuff, from legit theater, stand-up, improv, sketch, but like, where are our friends with the live experience? I feel very grateful that we can, let alone filming from home for like 3 months.
I mean, you've got the perfect setup. It's like film from home.
Insane.
Totally
insane.
I mean, like I have to go to the sound stage and get tested.
Yeah.
We're 5 days a week.
We got some stuff too, because like even in our show, they're we're not always in this. They do break it a bit. But also voiceover stuff for me to like some other guest star stuff is starting. Just had the COVID test today at noon 72 hours before you go to a physical set again. And I look forward to being social time in a sense. Like I can have my physical time with friends back on set. I don't need to necessarily go out to eat or restaurants, because I just come from that mindset of like, we will have fun at work.
I've also didn't realize how much of an introvert I was until the quarantine started, and I was like, I'm fine not being around everybody, but then obviously it takes its toll after a while. But I was really just like, this is not as panic-inducing as I thought it was going to be, not being able to see people.
As much as this is a public art. Before the show, like I was fine because I had my partner. I'm okay with all the video stuff. The video computer nerd that I was growing up, like AOL Instant Messenger, my friends have always been in the computer.
In the Matrix.
LOL hugs. and I think of like when we were kids, like it was just Nintendo, and maybe my brother and I shared a phone line. And and now I think of like, hi iPad, hi cell phone. Are we going to play PS4? Are we going to play the Nintendo Switch later? I mean, like we have so many things.
what is your back? So, I mean, for those of you who are watching this and don't know us,
Yeah.
uh, um, I'm like, who are
How
these
do
two
they not
queens?
know?
Just, I'm like, first of all, how dare you for not knowing?
Right.
Uh,
Pose, pose, pose.
but what is your background? Where are you from? How did you get started? How did Parvesh get into the world of entertainment?
Nico, it's so easy. It was just a suburban kid outside of Chicago. I
Hmm.
had really no sense of ethnicity and like being different, other than like you knew, but like it was not a big deal. So I had such education privilege in the suburbs, like Aurora, Naperville. These are great places where I've grown up outside of Chicago. And that's why my parents, after coming to the States, brain drain, my dad was an engineer, they
Hmm.
moved out to the burbs and everything's possible, right? Be whatever you want to be, imagination, dream. I remember telling like a teacher, like, I want to be a rock star. And she was like, Parv, you're too good at math. You'll be a rocket scientist. But it was just we had so many school plays and musicals. And so from like, there are all these milestones from like the fifth grade musical to the eighth grade one to like senior year directing a one act. Like it was always just an opportunity. I just knew I would go into acting. And my way of in was not to do the Asian stereotype was through education. I was like, what
Yeah.
college is going to be the best? Which college will let me get a BFA, but then also audition for stuff in downtown Chicago? So I had such privilege
Wow.
growing up in suburbs of Chicago to going to college in the city itself. So it was
So
just
you
not,
knew.
I did.
You sounded so like determined and like there was a plan.
It was just,
Um,
and that plan was very 80s kid, very 80s
yeah.
suburban kid mentality that you would just, we had the sense of like, you're not going to college? Of course you're going to, oh, you're just going to a 2 year first before you transfer. Got it. But like, that's my worldview back then in like the 90s, 2000. It was just like
Yeah.
the presumption that everyone went to college, and even how that's changed now. I don't even ask people like, remember, like, I feel like even up until like my late 20s, I'd be like, where did you go to school?
Right. Right.
State school,
I mean,
private.
I'm a college dropout,
So
but
tell
I
me,
definitely come from a background of like where education was like, as most immigrant and Asian families educate, there was like such a focus on education, and which is partly why my family, moved from the Philippines to the United States.
yeah, what age, what time period for you?
16. I was 16 when I moved to from Manila to Oregon.
Yeah,
So that was quite a shock. But like we had done one musical in the Philippines before when I was in school in the Philippines. Um, when I was like, I don't know what the equivalent of that would be in the United States. A couple of years before high school. I was
yeah.
like ninth grade, eighth grade.
Maybe like, I know it's off a bit sometimes with Asia to America, but
Yeah. But we did West Side Story.
hey,
That was kind of like my first taste with it. But other than that, there wasn't really like a big emphasis on arts education in the Philippines. So when I moved from Manila to the United States, and the high school that I went to, it just so happened to have like a really robust choir program, band program, drama department. So I really was just like, oh my God, this was something that I had always been wanting, been interested, and didn't have a chance to really explore. And I went all in. Like that first year, I moved here sophomore year of high school, and I was immediately like in the drama club, in choir,
yeah.
became like an officer of the thespian troupe. But I also didn't come from like a well-off family, so I had dreams of like going to Juilliard and Yale School of Drama, but couldn't afford that. So I just applied to one college. I went to Southern Oregon University and just studied theater there, first as a performer, but then was discouraged by my acting teacher. So I switched to costume design. So
Was
I,
that why you discouraged, because of ethnicity, or why?
I mean, truth be told, like I wasn't necessarily the best student. There was a disconnect happening that I was discovering with myself as a performer, where I knew I loved being on stage.
Sure.
I knew I loved watching theater and the experience of theater, but I was sort of coming to the realization that like my school was very classically based. Like and Southern Oregon University is in Ashland, and Ashland's known for the Oregon Shakespeare
Of
Festival.
course. I was
And
going to
it
say,
ties
like,
to that, and I was like, as much as I loved watching Shakespeare, I didn't have a yearning to act in Shakespeare, so there was a little bit of a disconnect in that program for me, and I just knew that I'd love being on stage. So, I think they sensed a little bit of that, and my teacher was just like, you may love the art, but the art doesn't love you, was his favorite quote.
ugh,
Um,
ugh.
I know. Yeah. So it wasn't until I moved away and moved to San Francisco and discovered stand-up that I was like, this light bulb had, it was like the light bulb didn't just go on. It just exploded, and it was like, this was the thing that really was like, oh my God, this is a way for me to be on stage, to sort of entertain people, to really push my point of view
Yeah.
without having the limitations of, at the time, and like in theater departments, we're just like, well, there's just no roles for you. Who would you play?
Sure.
You're brown and you're very visibly queer. What kind of, role do we have for you? It didn't seem like there was a place for me,
We forget that even any theater school, whether or not, like, I worked it, I did, like, I was like, I only focused on the modern plays. I didn't really deal with, like, I would joke, like, the stuff before 1968, like the No No Nanettes or Oklahomas, unless they were going full colorblind, which that opportunity was there. I've noticed a lot because, like, I would straight pass all the time because it was just mimicry for me. Like, it was just like, whenever we do an accent, it's still, for those of us not born in the country of our ethnic origin, we're just imitating our family. There's still no, we're more directly connected to it, but it's still not, for me, it's still just doing someone else, And I think about theater schools, which is, there's, again, hopefully this greater cultural awareness about, BIPOC people and our stories. And I mean, like, even the Asian stories, Asian theater, like, it's not just one semester, maybe your senior year, that you take it for a history credit.
Right.
But
every David Henry Hwang play.
Seriously, and God bless David, because we need him.
Yes,
he made that breakthrough. But, like, it's finally getting there. But, like, so much of my work in theater, I realized was, and even my comedy, which I'm still dealing with, is in service of white patriarchy, where I would joke about, like, I'm not like those other Indians, or I'm not as gay as those gays, hey guys, straight acting, right? That that I thought I'd be in. I was in service to myself, but not, like, again, I'm very big of, like, you can make fun of a community, you can make fun of the interest, like, the characteristics of a group, especially if you belong to it. But it's no longer, like, going to be in service of the majority making fun of others. And that, even when I think back to my theater, I'm like, yeah, I played the Armenian the time of your life. It should have really gone to someone who was more Manasa or Mina than I am, Middle Eastern, North African, but that's all we had. I played black roles because they didn't have enough African-American people in any department from high school to college. People like us, where they weren't really writing specifically Punjabi queers.
No, that is where the entry point for them.
Right.
Like, I remember we did the production of Big River in college.
Oh wow!
They did, but there weren't any black people in our school.
But then why do it?
They brought in a guest artist. And the guest artist was oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. He won a Tony for Aladdin.
The big 3-name guy, but he's got
James Iglehart.
Hey, yes, good job.
Yes, who's amazing. Hi, James. You're amazing. You're not watching this, but I'm saying hi.
He might be. He plays Middle Eastern roles, after all.
Okay. Shade.
None of that. No.
I love you. So, are you enjoying this new this new gig you have, connecting on NBC? How is this? I mean, certainly this is a new frontier as far as creating entertainment and creating art.
Well, my goodness, Nico Santos, I have enjoyed working on NBC's Connecting. Soon to be sharing the hour with NBC's Superstore. just the one word shows on your Thursday nights. And just like 4 more hands come out.
Must see TV.
It is fun. I mean, like that is like, it is kind of crazy. Like I remember I guested on a Superstore.
Yes.
I feel like season 1.
Season 1.
It was season 1 because Victor Nelly is a dear friend from Outsource, and he's just everyone loves him. By the way, you know, I even told our line producer this morning. I was saying like, oh, I'm doing, you know, for character media with Nico, who, you know, like, and she was like, Victor, tell Victor Nelly hi. I'm like, everyone just knows this gem of a man. And so it was one of his episodes he directed. And I know everyone, Feldman and I were on A to Z right before he did Superstore. And like Colton has been my improv coach, and I've been to his old house.
Oh my God. You're well connected to the Superstore family. But
it's so true.
We never finished the story. We know each other from even before Superstore.
Oh gosh, this is like around like CBS Diversity Showcase time, like right before ish.
Even before that, I think we met right when I moved to LA.
Yeah, I think we went to Korean barbecue with a bunch of gay bears.
Yes, we went to Korean barbecue with the bears.
You know, you can see people's faces at like all you can eat sushi or Korean barbecue when like a bunch of gay bears come in, and they're just like, no.
we're not gonna make money tonight.
Nope.
We're gonna be losing.
This word of mouth better be good, fellas. You better tell
we ran out of banchan. But yeah, I remember meeting you and our dear mutual friend Gabe.
Yeah.
Hi, Gabe. I just remember him telling me that, you know, you should meet my friend Parv. He is also an actor, and, you know, you need to meet people. You just moved to LA, meet people in the industry, blah, 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 blah. I just remember just having a really great time and finally meeting some normal people in Los Angeles.
Well, especially when you meet queer, because that was still, I want to say that's like 2011, 2012, maybe 2010.
That was like... Yeah, around then, like 2011, 2012, yeah.
And I remember being like, there still weren't a lot of gay Asian stand-ups, you know, like, it was just the cusp. I mean, like, we always think of Margaret Cho as, like, our queer icon, you know, in a sense, but, like, now I feel like there are so many, I think of, like, even, like, little Nick Dodani, and I say little because he's 110 pounds, you know, but, you know, he's just amazing, and this South Asian comic, it's just... I was so interesting to me, like, to meet someone who was living so authentically. For those of us where it was still like, how out am I? Because I'm like, am I going to be going for the dad role? It's 2012, you know. Romney running for office. Yeah.
I see. You know, I came from. That's not something I really struggled with because, like, I guess in my stand-up I was so out, and because I did stand-up in San Francisco, I could speak freely and express myself freely because the audiences in San Francisco are just exposed to different kinds of people. They're really, really smart, but they're not snobbish about lowbrow humor. So you can do like intellectual, heady material and do fart jokes and be in the same audience will totally get all of your references. And you know, when you travel and you stand up all over the country, you know, like I'm always like when I do a gig outside of Los Angeles or outside of San Francisco, any market that I've never performed at before, I'm always keen to watch the opener and the feature act because then I'm like, what are these people laughing at? Are they, you know,
it's like you get a sense of tone.
Yes. And I've done shows where I'm like, oh, after the opening act, I'm like, oh, they should not have hired me because they are not going to like anything that comes out of my mouth. Sure. Just by being myself. You know, it doesn't matter if it's the funniest material I have, just by being brown and queer, that audience is just like completely shut down and shut off. So
it's interesting. Like I definitely like know like when I'm in when I do improv and sketch stuff, which is also safer, you know, like it's easier to go to like, you can go to character stuff. You can go, you don't have to be political. You don't have to really even expose self as much. You can do it through whatever scene you're going to do. But I definitely know, like, when I perform, like, one of my best sketch friends is Danny Pudi, you know, who we know another.
Danny, yeah.
He's a Chicagoan. We've known each other from Chicago, but we definitely know, like, doing San Francisco or LA sketch stuff is a lot different than when we go back to his alma mater, Marquette, in Madison. in Milwaukee, or like Chicago.
Okay. Oh,
Just like, like, oh, the things that we laugh at sometimes for like 30 something Gen X into millennials are so different for Gen Z crowds now, like,
oh my God.
who are born after 9/11.
Do you miss working in theater or stage work? Do you have a preference for either, or?
I think that we have to be malleable. I've actually really liked, especially with like live stuff. Like I've loved a lot of the staged readings via this media, as well as some improv, especially stand up. Like I love watching Jenny Yang's Comedy Crossing, which is perfect online because people are playing their avatars from Animal Crossing, and it just is this hybrid that would only work on Zoom. I kind of just love also knowing that like we don't have to wear the pants. I can get whatever I want to eat and drink. But like versus sometimes going to a friend's show, and I'm talking specifically. I know I've veered away from like regular stage, but specifically our comedy world, because I can just mute it and I can be like, Eric, get me another V8 on me, or like it's not an issue. I kind of love it. I do love it. I've seen more stand up in the last few months than I have in the last few years, because it's just like
really.
I have to go park. I have to buy 2 drinks.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
I have not seen or participated in any Zoom comedy shows.
Oh, it's really
and
fun.
That's a particular bias on my part, because I don't know if that would be fulfilling for me as a stand-up, not having the audience there in front of me.
It's interesting. There's some freeing elements to it too. Like I hosted like an online theater festival for LA Theater. They're doing like a Together LA Fest, and people from like Drew Droege to like, Keith and Jill Powell from my show, they hosted night. And it's just really, people are doing wackadoo stuff, because I honestly thought going into it, I thought like, I'm just here for the 10 minutes at the beginning. Nope, an hour and a half. So I'm just like onesies and caftans, and you just have this freedom. I'm like, my partner's upstairs not coming down, so I'm just doing madcap stuff. So it's just interesting. It's different. And so I've even liked a lot of the staged reading stuff, because after a minute or two, any medium, you just submit to it. You just kind of like, even Shakespeare, how like the first, for any person, you're for the first minute or 5, you're kind of like, what are they? And then you just kind of get it.
But the thing is, what I've found is that people will sit through bad theater, but they won't sit through bad comedy.
Yeah.
Even if it's a live show, you know what I mean? Like people will just get up and leave if it's a bad comedian on stage. But they will watch all 3 hours of whatever god awful, we're doing a post-apocalyptic Romeo and Juliet where they're just, they don't have any limbs, and they're just.
I remember in middle school in Naperville, Miss Kathleen LaBianca, before we went to see The Christmas Carol in 7th grade at the Goodman Theater, she taught us how to clap. Like, hold your hand, other hand, not, you hold your hand and you clap. Like that.
Oh my God.
And so like, it was ingrained to us, yeah, it's refined. It's different. It's different than like, you're like, yeah, go LeBron. Straightish, right? This is why I kind of like this. Like, if it isn't something you don't really love, but you just want to support, you just go up. Oh, I'm there. Oh, wait. The view count is still there. I'm participating. So
yeah, like I heard every joke. I heard every bit. It was great.
I know, like wow. You just have to catch the beginning and the end. Do you miss legit stage work yourself? I know we've talked a lot about comedy and improv, but like specifically plays.
Funny you should ask.
Yeah, I want to know.
I did a play last year off Broadway. It was written by Jesse Eisenberg, and I was acting alongside Susan Sarandon. Oh and God. When the opportunity came, I immediately was just like, yes, yeah. You need me to be a stagehand? What do you need? Props? I'll do it, whatever. And Jesse had written this amazing play with an amazing part, and I immediately said yes. And then I was like, oh my God, I haven't done a play in 20 years. You know, like it's been so long since I felt like I've legitimately acted.
Sure, sure.
Because for me, like, you know, doing Superstore, doing stand up, like I just have so much fun doing it. And for me, comedy never feels like a job to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a fun career
it
we
just
have.
it's a really fun career. I always feel at home doing it. I feel at ease. It doesn't mean it's not hard or you don't put any work into it, but I just feel comfortable in that realm. And doing the play was definitely, you know, even though it was a funny part, it was just it had been so long, and I was a little out of my comfort zone, and I was acting alongside these incredible actors. You know, besides Susan Sarandon, Marin Ireland, who are all sort of like Broadway veterans, or stage veterans, and I was definitely like, I don't know. I mean, like my imposter syndrome kicked into full gear. I will say I did miss the spontaneity of live theater. Also, like, because I hadn't done it in 20 years, I had forgotten the work and the discipline that goes into it.
Mhm.
It is so much work, and it's a different type of focus required to do that versus doing television. And because you rehearse it for like a month, but when you're performing it once it opens, you know, people are like, well, it's only like 2 hours, then you're free. I'm like, you don't understand. Those 2 hours take so much out of you.
Yeah.
It just takes a lot out of you. And it took me a while to get back to that mindset and that discipline. So
How long was the full run?
we just did it for 2 months.
Great.
I lived in New York for 3 months. We rehearsed it for 1 month, and we ran for 2 months. And you know, it was definitely like something like, I did a off Broadway play. Oh my god,
Seriously.
this is amazing.
Yeah, it's a check
With
mark on your
it
list of
is
things
it
to do.
is it is a check mark. It's something I've always wanted to accomplish, being on stage in New York. You know what? I would totally do it again.
I think you should absolutely do it again, especially we forget that LA, we have a lot of theater. I'm such a big proponent of the theater of the town I'm in. Like I was a big
Mhm.
Chicago theater guy because I was there. You know, we had the mentality that theater in Chicago was very team sport. It was like we viewed New York as artsy fartsy. We viewed LA as TV film world. Chicago, we thought like we get it done. You know, like we're like, there's no egos. We're all gonna lift the set, bring it on, do our thing, change on stage, come out, you know. So like here in LA, like East West Players is one of my artistic homes. You know, we've gone to shows. I remember we even did
Yeah.
like comedy stuff, and it's just we are very fortunate in this state, even over like Oregon and Washington, have huge Asian American complements of theater. But here, I mean, we have the granddaddy. I like to do some shows where at least I get like a little talk to the audience moment, or an improv, or even like a thing like I'm talking about even like the Lithgow family, like Nigel Lithgow, like they do those British pantos, and it was like Peter Pan with like all these Disney Channel kid stars, and Sabrina Carpenter was Wendy, and they're lovely. But all I could live for was when we got to like talk to the kids who would like come up on
Yeah.
like 5 or 10 to come up on stage. 'Cause I'm like, thank you, you're different than like, oh, what Wendy and Peter are gonna do now, you know?
I did not have that moment on stage, and that was the thing, was like, you know, doing this play for the 2 month run was the exact amount of time. You know, it is, like I said, it is a lot of work, and you know, like, bravo and kudos to those actors who are on Broadway and do 8 shows a week
Yeah.
for like a year or 2 years. I would, like, you know, I guess because I've gotten so used to the way television works, where we do a different episode
Weekly,
every week.
weekly.
So it's the same character, but you get new material. But with the play, it is the same character, same words, night
Yeah,
after night after night. And there is, you know, it's different every night, but
sure.
the repetition of it is very much like, I don't know if I can do this. Or like, you also do a lot of voice acting, correct?
Well, you know, like you talk about like how I feel like we get a little bored. I like just having different avenues, not only from a financial viewpoint. I mean, like I think of it as diversifying. Any artist or actor should not just be limited by one thing. You know, when you mentioned the imposter syndrome, I feel like you have to break that because we should be doing everything. And, you know, voice
Oh,
for me,
honey,
like,
I think we can do a whole discussion about imposter syndrome because I
no.
just,
Well, I
yeah.
actually, I know we're going to talk voice stuff, but like, I will always remember the meal we had, like, I think it was for our friend Spark's birthday. It was at one of the, I forget what Asian restaurant downtown in Hollywood. And it was right about the time for Crazy Rich Asians. And when you had gone through the process, and I was just like, if not you, who? Who would have been? I mean, like, I just don't know. Like, that was just brilliant. And you were like, you talked about like some of the, I mean, like, this is your story, but like the process was so interesting to hear someone, because you were worried. Remember, if I'm not, I hope I'm not betraying anything, but like the accent, you were worried about nailing that specific accent.
Yes. Yeah, and you know, there was a lot of discussion of what the accent should be. Should it be Singaporean? Should it be, you know, not even British? Should I just use my natural tone? And you know, like I did want to stay true to the book. And every new project I go into, I do sort of like, and it's a habit I need to break. I do sort of go through that like doubting mechanism of like, oh God.
No.
And then eventually I land on the target, and I just, you know, like I was like, why did I spend months torturing myself?
Are you
You know?
getting better about that? Seriously?
Yes, therapy helps.
Therapy is a
Therapy
gem,
helps.
especially
Yeah.
during, I love online therapy, you know, again, like I'm
Oh,
always,
it's been,
I'm always late, but still it's here. Are you late to
yeah,
stuff
it's been
online?
great.
I was late to today and I just had to come from upstairs to
I
downstairs.
was I was gonna text you and be like, girl, you are not keeping me waiting.
No, only, even I would procrastinate in this world where you really have to be ready for 2 minutes. I had to put my powder on camera. But
I love it.
like I did that, I love Crazy Rich Asians so much. Like, it's not just for every Asian person. It was also like specifically to me as like a gay Asian actor. I was just like, yes, yes, Nico, yes. I mean, like, you, like, that, this is huge. So remember you talking about it and then seeing it, it was just like, if that is your process where you have to freak out and self-flagellate before, do it, because like it just won. Like, it was such, I hope, and I know it's opened up so much, but like that was just fascinating, a fascinating moment for such an integral character in an Asian story, that we were not the fool. We were not the
Right.
shame, you know, it was just
Yeah.
now.
Well,
No,
you
this
know,
now.
and it's my choices solidified and made more sense to me once I was there shooting and saw what Nora Aquafina was doing with her role, and I wanted there to be this balance.
Yeah.
Because I did not, because you know she went very big with her interpretation of the character, and it very much differs from the way it was written in the book, and she played it brilliantly. It was so funny. But I did want there to be this contrast between the two of us. I didn't just want it to play a version of myself,
Right.
and really pay homage to the character and pay homage to the world. So, I
When
mean,
I
I'm
go
just
to,
glad that, you know.
but it's that, I think that's that surprising part of like the theater background. Like the improv, the stand-up gives us timing, it gives us point of view, but I think that theater background still shows where you were, and I barely do this work in my own stuff, you know, but like that character development or honoring the source text material in television, I do get it. Like it's 22 minutes or the hour-long shows, like they are like a little one act. Like if a sitcom is like a live little sketch with the same characters week after week, and an hour-long feels like even like a one act play.
I feel like for television, especially for parts that, you know, like people of color or queer people play, we don't necessarily have the luxury of staying true to this rich source material.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times, you know, we'll go out for it's just a general Asian part, or like, you know, gay guy, and it's just so open to whatever we bring into it, right? But with Crazy Rich Asians, at least, you know, there's a book. You know, we know exactly who this person is, the way he was written, what his upbringing was, and so it was such a it was so helpful to be able to
Nico,
have that to draw from.
I do want to talk to you about voice stuff though, because You've
Please,
done
just
voice
talk about it.
also.
You know what? I am not as experienced in the world of voice acting as you have.
It's only,
So
but work will beget work. In the
okay.
voiceover specifically, I do think it was the hardest nut to crack. Like I feel like commercials are easy. Commercial, you are basically you. Like if you
Are
have
you
to do,
kidding? I hate commercials.
I love
Hate
commercials in
it.
the sense like you don't have to like put any sauce on it. You know, like what's my motivation? What's my character? And they're just like, can you just say I'll take a Big Mac? Got it. Good note. Good note. I'll take a Big Mac. But so
Do
commercials
this, Lady Macbeth, this time.
commercials are easy. Voiceover though, I feel like it was only I got very lucky. 2010 was a good year. I had outsource and then I had my first cartoon series regular on a Transformers cartoon called Rescue Bots. It was just for like
Oh wow.
kids. And it was 4 seasons as like an Autobot. And I also didn't have to do a lot. Like they were like, no, just do you. Just do your voice, add some color. Sometimes we want you to just be monotone and sometimes we want to go down. It's not much, you know, like, and I'm not the best actor. I'm just good at playing myself or versions of myself.
That is, I feel the same way. It is like I know my lane, and I
Yeah.
know I'm really good in my lane. I'm playing versions of myself. But if, again, going back to theater, if you ask me to play, Hamlet, I'm like, no, I can't do that. Or Chekhov, like I'm not Meryl Streep.
But
It's not
you
what
and
I'm
I
going
could be
for.
the gravediggers in Hamlet, you know, that Billy Crystal and Robin Williams played before. Like there are roles for it. So I do feel
Yeah.
like it's about knowing your lane, but then more so just knowing what you can do, but you should be able to have a lane in everything. There should be a lane for us in animation. Like if we're not like the Maurice LaMarches and Rob Paulson, who are, I bring them up because they're Pinky and the Brain, you know, like they're the
Hmm.
people who can do 500 voices in one session. But sometimes if you need this higher pitch persnickety kind of nasal, then I can do that. So I do feel like, and this is what we're
Yeah.
talking about too, like, and I think it's bigger with this COVID moment of like, you have to be, yes, we're not doing our typical stand up or sketch or improv face to face. We're not doing plays at the Geffen because they're even doing how they're doing different things. Like they're magic. They're doing magician shows and they're killing it because it is just like you can see the close up magic here. It's just, I love like how voiceover pose season 4
Yeah.
FX X. Duck walk, duck walk. See, you can duck walk. Look at me, I'm duck walking. Don't need the legs. Don't need the legs.
Dirty. I'm doing a desktop right now.
Oh my gosh!
We are so stupid.
I think what we're finding here is that friendship and community is so big.
Yes.
And here's the biggest thing that I would really, this is such specific advice. Like, you know, we give like other practical advice or like talk over your microphone so you don't plosive into the thing. No, what I'm going to tell you is you should never surround yourself with people who aren't your biggest cheerleader and fan and friend, because everyone knows that at a certain point, and hopefully you get to this with self-awareness, but also some validation via self, your therapist, as well as just work. There's going to be a certain point where everyone's good. Everyone's talented. Everyone's funny. Nico's going to get this part one day. Rodney Toe's going to get it the next. Alec Mapa's going to get it the day after. And Rizwan Manji's going to get it, you know, the day before that. You should be joyous and cheerleading all your friends and supporting, because all this work, especially for whatever group you're a part of, I'm talking about the 50-something Black women, to all the Gaysians, to all the, specific Manasa, specific East Asian, support each other, because if we don't, who will? We need to tell our stories. And I've always thought this, a rising tide lifts all boats. You know, like I had this idea always of like an iceberg, like jutting through the air, like through the water. And I was like, I have that ice pick. Everyone grab on, we're going. So like, I just had this, I want to say like, I love seeing your career take off, be so steady and great. It'll be such a joy to share this weird time of us being grateful to have our steady, because we are working class people. You know, we work a day-to-day job. We're union people. I just love the serendipity that we get to share this hour of television on NBC, next to you on Hulu and Peacock.
Well said. I mean, and to echo that, I truly believe what you said. Rising tides truly lifts all boats. We're all in this together. And I think, you know, what people can take from both of our careers is that there is something to be said about being authentically you, and that you can have a full career because of who you are and because of how authentically you live your life and not in spite of it. So I think that's the little nugget of wisdom I want to leave to the youths, is just do you, boo. Be you. Yeah. Because everyone else is taken. That's what Oscar Wilde said.
I liked when you said youths, because then I thought of my cousin Vinny, and now I'm thinking we need to totally update that. It could be my cousin Vinod, my cousin Vikram, and we got to do this. I'm telling you.
My cousin Beanie.
We'll just take it to every market, though. There'll be the Filipino market, North Indian, or we'll even take the Telugu market. You know, they have a whole different
It'll go. Well, here's the thing. So you go and write it, and we'll pitch it. And I think on that we'll end this wonderful discussion / catch up that I've had with my friend Parvesh. It's been great.
Love you, Nico.
I love you too. All right. That's it.